such a beautiful indie game. Too bad the trophy list wasn't as good. I picked up Everybody's Gone to the Rapture in January of 2021. At the time I was doing pretty hardcore trophy hunting and I did a couple of harder games, so I wanted something not necessarily grabby but chill and easy, and knowing that it was published by Sony, I had high hopes going in. The plan was simple. Because the game is pretty short, about 3 hours if you take your time to explore, I decided to do a blind playthrough first without looking up the guide, and I'm really happy I did that, because it was the best part of this journey for me and it all went downhill from there. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the game itself. It is what people would call a walking simulator. There are no enemies or combat, and I was fine with that. I was looking for a relaxing experience. I started up the game, met some light people, eavesdropped to their conversation by tilting my controller and made it to Yonton, which is a rural town where the story takes place. Yeah, this doesn't work. You are pretty much walking around an empty settlement, interacting with objects and slowly learning what happened to this town and its people. Slowly is the right word there, by the way, because walking speed in this game is not great. Yes, you can run by pressing R2 of all buttons for some reason, but it's not much better. Let's just say it's more of a power walking than running, which was the most annoying part of this game. I spent a couple of hours breaking into empty houses and listening to conversations, getting lost in the middle of the fields, learning what actually happened, and even experiencing a few flashbacks that usually happen by concluding storylines and switching to beautiful nighttime. By the way, I have to say, some of the in-game moments were actually mind-blowing to me in their beauty, and I just had to stop for a minute, admire it, and take a few screenshots. After getting to the end of the game and finally figuring out what happened, I was a bit confused but satisfied, as I actually did enjoy the story and the game itself quite a bit. Yes, it wasn't always perfect, but I didn't expect it to be. In the end of the day, it was made by a small group of developers. It was intriguing and I was engaged in the story, so playing it was a fun experience. After finishing the game, it was trophy time. I fired up a guide and started going after all the collectibles and miscellaneous trophies, but before we go on, let's pause for a second and talk about the collectibles, because this was the biggest time sink for me in this game. You need to find most of them in one playthrough for the completionist trophy, and the rest are going towards other miscellaneous trophies in the game. Now, there are a lot of collectibles, like way too much for the game this size. Some of them I didn't mind as much because they carry story elements, like optional dialogues you can listen to and they give you more background, but there is no tracking for them and no manual saves. Also because there is a point of no return in the game and there are collectibles you will find after it, I found the collectible run pretty annoying. Yes, it was nice to listen to all the phone and radio calls I missed and get more story out of it, but I had to closely follow a guide so I wouldn't miss anything, and it always sucks the enjoyment out of the game. There is a reason why I love when games give you collectibles locations on the in-game map. You feel more immersed as there is no need to watch another video or guide while playing. Speaking of the in-game map, this game actually doesn't really have it at all, which if not for collectibles would be fine and even helpful for immersion. What you have instead are stationary "You Are Here" maps that are collectibles as well, by the way, and you will need to look at all of them. Yes, you heard me right. Look at all of them. Basically, there are two categories of collectibles in this game. First one is for interacting with objects and another one is for looking at them. The looking at collectibles part is pretty creative, but I hated it because you have no confirmation that it registered, and did I tell you that the collectibles count in this game is 236? Yeah, silly amount of them and no tracking or in-game map. At least the looking at items collectibles are pretty forgiving and I didn't really have any issues with them. Somehow I managed not to miss anything, but it was pretty nerve-wracking as it took me about 3 hours to do this playthrough and I really didn't want to do it again. The miscellaneous trophies themselves were mostly harmless, like going in and out of surgery about 10 times or walking backwards for 50 seconds, kind of silly, but I'll take it any day over a mindless grind. After the completionist playthrough, I had only 4 trophies left, for interacting with all the radios before doing anything else, for finishing the game without concluding any of the optional storylines, for backtracking to the beginning of the map using all the shortcuts you unlocked by progressing, and of course the platinum itself. So in my third playthrough I went in, interacted with all the radios, which wasn't as bad as there's only 26 of them, got to the last area and started backtracking. After spending around 10 minutes getting back to the start of the map using shortcuts, I was supposed to pop the trophy. But I didn't. Now, I was aware that this trophy was buggy, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess it up myself, so I followed the guide twice more and still nothing. I really didn't want to do another playthrough at this point, but I had no choice because after a little research I discovered that the reason it bugged on me is because I had to enter the last little area before the end of the game for a radio, and the only way to fix it is to start an entirely new playthrough. Feeling defeated, I finished this game and popped the trophy for finishing it without concluding any optional storylines and started my fourth playthrough. Because this time around I didn't have the patience, I pretty much speedrun it, and got to the last area in around 25 minutes, backtracked to the start and finally got my Platinum trophy. I had a blast with this game playing it for the first time, but I did find the trophy implementation pretty poor, with huge number of non-trackable collectibles, which can be fine, but if you miss one you are risking having to replay the whole game again. I believe that this is the reason, despite it being 5 to 10 hour 2 out of 10 difficulty Platinum trophy, it only has 17% achievers on PSN profiles. Also, the fact that one trophy bugged on me during my playthrough made me very frustrated when I finally finished the game. In retrospective it wasn't that bad, but I probably wouldn't platinum this game again. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, and of course subscribe for more weekly gaming and trophy hunting content. Thank you for watching.